So anyways, thank you so much for coming and joining me. I wanted this to be an opportunity for us to connect with each other since we're in isolation. And there's something, at least for me, I experienced a live yoga class, and I just felt like it was, even though I didn't know the people who were on the screen, it just felt really fantastic to feel that connection with other people and watching other people, you know, experience the same thing as I was at the same time. So that was the moment where I thought, okay, let's cook together, because there's already so much healing in cooking. And to spend more time, not just doing, but being. And, you know, for example, this morning when I was doing the dishes, instead of just doing the dishes, thinking about how can I be in this moment while I do the dishes. But those types of like kind of aha moments of reflection that wouldn't have happened if we weren't in lockdown, if we were not all socially isolating. So I thank you for being here with me in the kitchen, and the next time we do this, it'll be different. We won't have what was happening in the beginning of this class. I certainly hope so. So why don't we get out all of our ingredients. I hope all of you have your ingredients out. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why the kind of the best things to look for when you buy your ingredients, because it's not just, for example, about flour. Has anybody read the book Eat Less Water or has any familiarity with it? Okay, so I see some hands up. So, you know, my first chapter is, the first chapter I wrote was Wheat and Water. And that was really important for me to put first, because it was one of the first places, one of the first farms that I went to, because I was on this mission to understand what could I do as one person to make an impact on water systems around the world, because I understood that 70% or half of the world population won't have enough water by 2030. So just kind of like how we're having this moment of revelation now, that our individual actions, that each of us are making these individual small decisions on a daily basis that are impacting the whole, like the global whole. Oops, I just did what you don't want to do. You don't want to burn a tortilla. You don't want to leave a tortilla on. So we can absolutely influence what's happening in the climate and on these really big environmental issues that we're facing, like water scarcity, like deforestation, like soil erosion, and like climate change, with our individual decisions that we make in our kitchens on a daily basis. In fact, I think it's the most powerful place to make big changes on the planet. So because if we merge our influence, we can make change. As we're watching what's happening now, like, you know, they said 200,000 people will likely die, and now it's come down to 60,000 people as a prediction. And hopefully that continues to go down, just because we're all making these individual choices that are impacting the whole. So there is power in the collective, is what I like to say. So the first farm I went to was John DeRosier, his farm in Paso Robles, California. And what was really phenomenal for me to go to that farm as one of my first is that's when I walked away with this understanding of how important it is to build the soil. So Anna, who is a farmer at the different schools, understands this of just how imperative it is for us to keep our soil healthy. And when we have healthy soil, it holds water up to 1,000 times more than soil that's been treated with chemicals. It has the capacity to grab the carbon from the sky and put it into the ground, which is what we absolutely need. And the plants that emerge from this soil are healthier. And if they're healthier, they have more nutrients. They're also healthier for the animal or the person who eats it. So it's like the earth's reward for us. If we build healthy soil, then we are also building our bodies, healthy bodies as well. So the soil, for me now, when I go to the store, the organic the USDA organic really makes a difference for me. Like, I understand what that means because I understand that they're not treating the land with chemicals or with petroleum-based fertilizers, which is also an issue. But I also understand that we have like different levels of what's organic. We have what we can find with big organic, with big corporations, and what we find on these small scale farms like the ones I take you in my book. But regardless of whether you go to that level of supporting these small scale farmers, which I'm hopeful that many of us will move into that direction. But even if we just start with choosing more often than we do now, the organic version of whatever it is that you're purchasing. So for example, the flour that we're using, I hope that, well, at least the flour I'm using is organic. I use, like I wrote in the letters, I normally get 25-pound bags because it is cheaper to do it that way. And it stores for a really long time. What's interesting is I didn't realize all of these things that I've been doing for the last few years to eat less water, I've actually been getting myself prepared for a pandemic. It's like, because I have all of these grains stored in my pantry. Okay, so that's the first thing, is the flour. Flour tortillas are so simple because all they require is flour, oil, and I use, I'm using just like the Whole Foods organic version of, which is fine. And I talk about better and best in both in the book. And, it's like, if we could just get the better, the USDA organic is the better, and the best would be going to that small scale farmer who's a biodynamic farmer or dry farming their wheat, for example, those types of things. But the other thing you need is your baking powder and your salt, and we're ready to go. So you have all of those things. Are we ready? Are we ready to do this?
Let's do it.
Do you need, you said baking powder?
Baking powder. Did I say baking soda on here?
No, you said, I think you said powder both times.
Yeah.
I was just double checking. Okay.
And hot water. So make sure if you have the tea kettle going, that's right now is a good time to get your tea kettle going for some hot water. All right, so first thing, 3 cups. And at any point, feel free to ask me questions, like to stop me to ask questions, okay? So 3 cups flour.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
I'm wondering about whole wheat flour. Does that work?
Yes, you can absolutely use whole wheat. I would suggest kind of playing with the proportions at first. Whole wheat is a little bit harder to work with. Like the reason why bakers like to use white or all-purpose flour, it's an easier flour to work with. It's just lighter.
Start with white. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but then you could just start adding it in, the next time and then see what kind of ratio you like. You could, start with half and half and then maybe go 70-30. Today, we're just using the all-purpose white. Okay. And salt. So a teaspoon of salt. I actually like it, if you like it a little bit saltier, I have a tendency to like things a little bit saltier. So I'm gonna put like a heaping teaspoon. Okay. Then,
Florence, do you know Emmerich? Emmerich is trying to join our meeting?
I don't know Emmerich.
No? Okay.
No. Okay, so then get a wooden spoon or a spoon. Mix those 3 ingredients together. Okay. And then grab your oil and your hot water. That's next. I'm gonna grab mine from my tea kettle. So it's a 1/3 cup oil and a cup of hot water. So go ahead and put the oil in first. And mix that in a little bit before we put in the hot water. Okay. I'm adding my hot water in. So Banana Boat, I see Banana Boat. What's your name?
Anna. So we're Anna and Anna.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the book. Thank you so much for writing it. I listen to it on Audible when I go for walks around my neighborhood. So far I'm on the chapter about fish, and I think that's fascinating. And I think what a cool experience you had to interview all of those farms, and I think the fishermen. I just think I really am enjoying your book. So thank you, and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot too.
I haven't been able to listen to the whole Audible. It's hard to listen to your own. I think it's hard to listen to your own book.
It's good. It helps me because I like to multitask, and it helped, to get out of the house and take a walk. So it's been good. But I really like it.
So I wonder if you can see, I'm going to put this up so you can see what I'm doing in the bowl. So there's a point where you're going to need to put your hand in there. So at first it's, you can mix it for so long, and then you need to start kind of kneading it inside of the bowl. Do you see how I'm doing that? I wonder, Anna, if you can put mine up larger for us. Is that possible?
We can see you very large.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I see it as gallery.
Okay.
Okay. Then at some point, you want to take it, like for me, it's now, just to do that final piece. I find it to be, working with dough, to be a meditative, such a meditative thing, because as we started, all of the ingredients were just like chaotic and messy. But then it's like you trust the process, and you realize that eventually you will come up with a smooth dough. So for me, it's just kind of of how everything starts. Any project we start or anything that we're in, like for right now, for example, what's happening globally, it feels like a mess and chaotic, but eventually we will end up with something really beautiful and supple that will rise. So when I'm going to put this down like this so you can see how I'm kneading this dough. So you put the flour down, okay, and then I just use the bottom, like the palms of my hand, and then just turn it and then roll it. Turn it and then roll it until you have a really nice, workable, soft dough. And this is the same when you make bread. This is the same when you make pizza dough. Okay. And so now you have a beautiful shape. Show me your shapes. I would love to see your dough once you finish that. Oh, I see. Barbara, that looks beautiful. All right, Mona. Okay, so now put that back in the bowl. If you have a dish towel, you can cover it. It's gonna rise for about 15 minutes. Oh, actually, no. Before you do that, take the dough. We're gonna separate them into balls first. So I'm gonna bring this down again so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so go ahead. This is how I just turn the dough in half. So split it in half. So you have 2. Okay? And once you do that, just take one of them and do the same thing again. For each side. We should have four pieces now. And then just take each of those and separate them again. And then one more time.
Do you ever add anything into the tortilla mix? Like any special ingredients you ever throw in there?
No, I haven't. Like it was interesting. I came across in my cupboard, I have a avocado garlic oil. So I thought, I wonder how that would taste if you were to play with oils.
Florencia.
Yes. Hi, Amada.
Hi. Hi, everyone. My mom used to put in a little bit of sugar, just a tiny bit of sugar.
Ah, and what would that do? What would that do with the flavor, did you think?
It just gave it a little bit of sweetness to it, but not much. Just a tiny taste. I don't know how to describe it. You wouldn't know that it was there.
Yeah.
Let's just get it one more time.
How
So-
many should we
So
get?
just have 16 balls at the end.
Okay.
And just take each of them and then take them in your hand and roll them together. And just feel, Amada, who's a children's book writer, she always talks to us, because we're in the same writers group, she always talks to us about how important it is to add the senses into your writing. But this morning I was really thinking about how important it is to add the senses to just our everyday living, like anything that we're doing. So right now I just remind you to add the senses to this experience. Smell the dough, feel the dough, even just listen to it. If you listen to it, it does have a sound. And of course, feel, like, have the experience of feeling it. We tend to just base all of our senses around just sight, what we see. Okay, once you get all of those in there,
Plug mine in over there. Right here.
Harmony, I can see that you're in the class. Do you want to? How are things going for you?
Were you talking?
Harmony, are things going well?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you.
I didn't want to be in the video. I wasn't prepared. I'm just watching. I'm not cooking along with you right now, but this was like at the top of my list of things to do right now, was to make our own tortillas. So I'm learning and watching you guys. And do you mean how things are going with the family?
You could tell us that too. Things are going well with your.
Well, I won't delve into it, but we're adjusting. It's a process. Definitely a process.
It is a process. That's for sure.
Should we add some of this one?
No. After we're done rolling, are we leaving them on our cutting board?
No, when you finish, just put them back inside of your bowl. Okay. And then they need to rise for about, exactly that. Mona wants to be the top student, I can tell.
Why? Because she's fast?
Yes. And then you go ahead and cover it if you have something. Otherwise, just put it aside. I'm gonna. Well, I made a batch before we began.
Oh, so we can see the finished product.
So I'm gonna put this down so you can see me. It was funny because Mona, who we can't see Mona. the way you're, there you are.
Of
So
washing
Mara
hands.
says her tortillas tend to look like the state of Texas. So we're gonna try to help her so that hers don't look, so that they look more like the planet Earth.
Please.
Great. So you're gonna when it's time, and actually you could practice. Go ahead and practice with one of them. It's fine. You want to take your dough and first make a little bit of a, let's take it in the palm of your hand and kind of start to make it into a shape. And in fact, if you don't have a rolling pin, you would just continue to do this, right? Okay. And I'm going to take this down so you can see what I'm doing. Dust it with flour first. And go for one time back and then forward. And then turn it to the side and the same thing. Back and forward. Turn it to the side, back and forward.
And who taught you to make tortillas, Florencia?
Not my mom. My mom didn't make tortillas. It's just self-taught. In fact, it's pretty recent. I've been making corn tortillas for a long time.
Yeah.
But not flour tortillas.
Yeah.
But Estrella, my daughter, loves flour tortillas. And so one day recently, I would say in the last 2 months, we couldn't find any. Or actually, not that we couldn't find any, we just didn't have any, and I didn't feel like going to the store. So I was like, you know what, let's just find a recipe. And so I found this recipe that I really like, the way the dough comes out. Okay, so here we have.
That's pretty good.
No kidding. I'm impressed.
Tortilla.
Hey, where's Eddie and Tony? They're not on?
They didn't join us. Or they may have joined us in the beginning and got scared.
They may have been here earlier, but we had to quickly remove.
So right now too is a good time to turn on your comal. Do you guys know what a comal is?
I do.
I do.
Comal is, just in case you don't have one and you want one. So this is what a comal is, and this is particularly for making tortillas or pizza tortillas. But any skillet will do. So just turn on whatever it is that you're going to use.
If
I'm
I
using
only have a cast,
pancake skillet.
can a cast iron skillet work?
That would be perfect.
Yeah, okay.
Florencia, how
Yes.
many balls did you get for the
16.
tortillas?
Now look at the size of this tortilla. Well, I guess you guys have them in front of you. So that it's like the size of my hand. So if you want them bigger, like, to make burritos, obviously you're going to need, I would just say split it not to 8 instead of taking it that one last time. So if you want some for example, I have them in 16 balls, but if I want to make a bigger one for the burritos, I just put those back together and make one.
Okay. So you made 8 out of the dough that we made?
I make 16. You
Oh,
can
you
either
made
make 16 small tortillas or what is it?
8 large ones. Yeah. Wow. I'm always a step behind and $1 short.
So remember, first you want to make it into like a small disc in your hand. Kind of cup it. I cup it a little bit. You see that?
I am circularly challenged.
You what?
Circularly challenged.
Oh, let's see what your tortilla looks like.
Oh, that's nice.
That's
you just
perfectly
pulled.
round.
There's not a perfect circle. Not even the earth is a perfect circle. We're good.
There you go. There you go. And my mom always said it was just practice that made them more
And
certain.
really, I find that the technique is just to roll it up once and roll it back once, and then you turn it. So it's that. Are you rolling it only once and back once?
Yep.
How are the rest of you doing, Barbara? How are yours coming along? Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. What about you, Allie? How's yours coming along? Nice. Yours is a mini flour tortilla, looks like. Okay. And you can also get it to if you like them thinner or you like them thick.
Mhm. Did your mom used to make them, Florencia?
No, I
How
don't.
about, how about a grandmother, a tia, anybody?
My grandmother on my father's side would make the corn tortillas, but not the flour.
Okay.
Do you put them on the kimono?
So flour tortillas don't take long on the skillet. So why don't you go ahead and put your first one on the skillet.
More heat?
I will bring you over to my.
How do you get them off?
You can get a
Spatula.
spatula or your
Yeah.
finger.
Spatula, but I mean, I use, after a while, you learn.
Your fingers.
So you can see how it's bubbling. I don't know, can you see that?
Yes.
Bubbling? Okay. So you want it to bubble before you turn it. And look how beautiful that is.
Yeah. Do you turn it only once or more than once?
It's best if you just only need to turn it once.
Mm-hmm. What's also interesting is that they're different. They're made differently depending on what area of Mexico, what region or what state they come from. Like some states make them really, really tiny, really small, and other states make them really, really big and thin. Some use baking powder and others don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's real interesting.
So once you're done with it, well, you have to try your first one. You have to try it.
Yeah.
I have a basket specific for tortillas to keep them nice and warm. And they sell these really at any Mexican market. Or you just use a clean dish towel.
Try it. I don't think it's totally cooked. You want to try it?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Very nice.
Hot. Yeah, who they cook them more, huh?
So, what are you going to put inside the tortilla?
Butter.
Butter on yours, Mona?
Butter
Yeah.
or peanut butter?
Ooh.
Butter, peanut butter is a good thing. So this is a good time to talk about the concept of foraging. For me, when I approach what do I cook for the family on a weekly basis, before I forage through my own pantry and my own refrigerator, and then make that and then build things on that. Then next would be to go to the farmer's market and see what are the things that they have in season, and then create what it is that we'll make for that week. And when we do that, we're one, we're in rhythm with the season, and the other thing is we just waste a lot less food. So when we plan our meals and then go out and then come back and say, oh, but I have this bell pepper that really I need to finish, I need to use up this bell pepper. I have all this swish, whatever it is. I have these beans that I need to eat. So it's foraging, then creating that meal. So right now I'm going to forage in my own refrigerator to see what I can use to make with the tortillas. Right.
Who goes with you, Florencia?
Excuse me?
Who goes with you? Do any of your children go with you? Does your husband?
They generally, somebody will come with me to the market. Now, because they're suggesting
Yeah.
now we're not really even, only one of us is going to the market. Before it was like kind of this big outing, like the one big outing field trip.
Uh-huh.
And they're good helpers. Like they can go out and find what I can get out of them faster. But right now it's just mostly me. And I also have a delivery service that comes twice a month called Narrative Foods, and it's just a beautiful curated box of food from small scale farms and producers locally, LA, Santa Barbara, this whole region. And it's so I've been doing that for several years now. And now they have quite a wait list.
What is it called?
It's called Narrative Foods.
Narrative?
Yeah, because food tells a story. That's their title. So we have a bell pepper. And bell pepper is a really tasty thing. And cut it up, saute it with
What?
Forage.
I don't know what word, but I'll say narrative.
Narrative foods. I'll write down forage.
Also beans. Do you all put a thumbs up if you all have made or know how to make beans from scratch? So see, Mona. So I could walk you through it right now because it is such a simple thing to do, and it's an important legumes. Beans are such an important plant for this planet because they're one of the few, and Anna, I'm sure you can talk to this, speak to this too. They're one of the few plants that are what's called nitrogen fixers, which means that they have the capacity to grab nitrogen from the sky or from the atmosphere and draw it down inside of the plant and feed the soil. So they bring nitrogen to the soil. So instead of needing to apply so instead of the nitrogen requirement coming from fertilizer, like a petroleum-based fertilizer, the farmer can grow as part of their crop rotation. They can plant the legumes. And that's what, in that first chapter, Wheat and Water, what John DeRosier does. And in fact, all of them are doing those small-scale regenerative agricultural farmers. They have the legumes as part of their system, so that because they're nitrogen fixers. So they're really good. It's really good. If anything's really good for the soil, to make the beans, first let me grab some of my beans. So I keep different beans in jars. I'll show you how I keep what my system is in my kitchen. Can you see that behind me? So I like to keep. For me, visually, it just makes me happy. You want to be happy in your kitchen so that you spend more time in it, because there's good things that happen in kitchens. So you just take the beans and measure. I'm not good at measuring it out. I just kind of have a sense. I don't usually like to do too much because it goes bad. So maybe about 2 cups or so. But the trick is that you need to go through it first. See that? You go through it first to see if there's any like little dirt clots in there. And so this looks like it's dirtless. And then you take that and put it in, you rinse it off, you rinse the beans off, and then you just have it sit in water. And it's actually better to have it sit in water overnight. And the reason is actually, I forget what it is, maybe one of you knows, but it's the gas. It helps so that it's not so gassy. It doesn't make you so gassy. So you let it soak. If you don't have time or if you've forgotten and you don't want to wait, I've done this before too, where you don't want to wait the whole night or you don't have hours to wait for it. You can just put it in the pot and turn it on high and let it boil first, and then turn it off and then let it sit for an hour or 2. And then take that water out, rinse the beans, put it back in the pot with fresh water, and just kind of check on it. It just depends on the kind of bean. You can just do Google searches to see about how long it takes, but it just depends on what your flame is, what kind of bean. Black beans tend to take longer than pinto beans because they're denser. So, lentils are quick, really quick. So it just kind of depends on the bean, but it's all the same. You rinse it, you soak it, you rinse it off again, you put it in the pot, and you just let it do its magic.
Yep. Now with mine, I also do the soaking.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes not overnight, but at least 4 hours. And then I rinse them and I put clean water on them. But then I chop up 1/4 of an onion in big chunks and a clove of garlic and a little bit of salt, and then I put them to boil, and then once they boil, I turn it down to simmer. And about 2 hours, they're done, and they're pink. If they're pinto beans, they'll be pink because you've washed them and soaked them. If you don't wash and soak them, they'll come out a little darker color.
Yeah, and beans, I was noted, is also one of those things that's harder to come by at the markets right now. I just ordered a 25-pound bag from Eden Foods. It's an organic, they only sell organic foods. So, it'll take several weeks to get it. Normally it takes 24 hours before they ship it, but that's buying bulk with those types of things really make a lot of sense economically and in terms of the environment as well, because there's a lot less package that's required when you're purchasing something in a 25-pound bag. So if you have the space in your pantry or in your garage, I use something like this, an airtight container to keep it nice and fresh for whenever I need it. So is there any more questions? Anybody have any more questions? It looks like everybody is off and running and ready to eat some scrumptious tortillas.
I can't wait to try the recipe. I'm so excited. The only thing I didn't have was baking powder. So now I need to go snag some, but I'm so excited.
I'm excited to cook too. I can't wait to make these. Thank you. And I'm going to try beans. I have dried beans and I've never cooked them. So I'm going to try now. Thank you.
See how simple it is. You could also put them in a slow cooker.
Oh yeah, or Instapot.
Put it in the night before, and when you wake up in the morning, they're done. That's also very nice. Thank you, Harmony. Thanks for coming. So in 2 weeks, I'll do this again. And this will be for the rice, making Mexican rice. And I'm thinking, show you both fideos and Mexican rice. Those are like just yummy, scrumptious, good, essential things to have with very few ingredients. So start thinking about the rice, making sure that you have enough rice right now, because that's also one of the things that's harder to come by. If you don't have it in your pantry, I recommend really the best rice for water is what I wrote about in the book, which is using the technique called system for rice intensification. And Lotus Foods is the only one I know of on the market that's selling rice from these types of farms around the globe. So with Lotus Rice or Lotus Foods, it could be kind of pricey when you're purchasing it, the little bags at a time, but it becomes much more affordable when you purchase it in the 25-pound bag. So that's what I do. In fact, I just got my shipment in yesterday. So I'll show you really quickly how I store that. This is how I store my rice. See? Can you see that? So that's just this is specific for rice. So if you want to join me, I would love to have you again. Thank you for staying on with me and connecting. It feels really wonderful to connect with all of you.
You had a really good technique. Mine came out round.
Yay!
I always try to imitate the way my mom did it, the pro, but she slapped that roller, so mine's just came out all which way. But your thing of turning it, mine's are round. So.
Right. So it was worth it.
It was worth it because I knew how to make the masa, but I could not get them round. So good job, Florencia.
All right. Thank you, Gordon and Barbara. Thank you. Thank you, Annas.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Florencia. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.